Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, it's going worldwide, folks. It's going worldwide. It seems as though Kirk spoke in prophecy. She hit the nail on the head when she said that something big was coming. If these evildoers thought that they were going to shut down Charlie Kirk, put an end to the work that he was doing, well, they were seriously naive. And she was right, because now we are seeing the exact opposite thing happening. I got a bunch of clips and interesting data to show you guys. Charlie Kirk is going worldwide. Let me show you guys what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, friends, so remember, the left mocked us. They said no one would care about Charlie, that no one would mobilize, that it would have no effect, there would be no call to action felt after his death. But boy, oh boy, were they seriously wrong.
It will activate no one.
It's a global movement. And you know what? We were already in the midst of an extremely powerful grassroots movement before, especially following the attempted assassination of President Trump. I guess these leftists forgot that, right? They forgot they lost the last election so handedly, and clearly they wanted to shut us down, but now it's going bigger than ever. And it's not just the vigils that we're seeing worldwide. No, it's also a political call to action. We're getting reports now that Turning Point USA chapters across college campuses across the country are now being absolutely inundated with new registrations. People are joining like crazy. We got one chapter lead who wrote this in a text message. We have 18,000 new chapter requests since Erica spoke. We had 9,000 college chapters and 1,100 high school chapters prior to this. This is the turning point. TPUSA is about to double in terms of its presence, and most likely even more multiples in terms of its effectiveness. And that right there, if you are a communist revolutionary, should seriously shock you to your core, because this was the effectiveness of Turning Point USA before. This was Charlie Kirk's legacy.
As we remember Charlie Kirk, I think, of course, it's important to note that one of his main missions was to engage with and bring younger folks over to the conservative side of the aisle. And based upon the results of the last presidential election, I think we can say he was quite successful in doing so. What are we talking about? Well, let's take a look at 18 to 24-year-olds who voted for Donald Trump. That is, voters under the age of 25. Look at this. In 2016, it was just 34%. Jump ahead to 2020, it was just 31%. But look in this past presidential election. In 2024, Donald Trump's percentage of voters under the age of 25 jumped all the way up to 43% of the vote. Indeed, when you compare his percentage of the vote with that of Kamala Harris's, and we look at the margin, we can say that Trump had the best performance for any Republican nominee for president this entire century among voters under the age of 25. When we dig into the numbers a little bit deeper, we can see even more of the influence of Charlie Kirk. What are we talking about? Well, let's take a look at males under the age of 25. That is age 18 to 24-year-old males, presidential margin. You go back to 2016, Hillary Clinton easily won that vote by 11 points. You jump ahead to 2020, you can see Joe Biden nearly doubled Clinton's margin, won it by an even larger margin. Look at this, a 20-point win for Joe Biden. But look at this past presidential election. Donald Trump actually won males under the age of 25. He won them by 3 points, and in doing so became the first Republican nominee for president to win males under the age of 25 this entire century. Now, one of the reasons that Donald Trump was so successful among younger voters was because of advice given to him by Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk said, bypass the traditional media, go straight on the podcast, talk to younger voters where they are.
Yeah, if you thought that was bad for your little socialist revolutionary movement, you haven't seen anything yet. People are rallying like never before, and people are waking up. Here's a great example. I got a video here of a young man with 2.4 million followers on TikTok, and he describes how this was a wake-up moment for him. After Charlie Kirk's passing, he was going through a lot of TPUSA videos, and just take a look at what he said.
The more videos I see of Charlie, the more I realize he was basically a perfect example of what a young man should strive to be, and I think that's what they hate the most. He was someone who advocated everyone gets married young and has kids as soon as possible. He completely completely advocated for people to not participate in hookup culture. The last video I saw of him that inspired me to make this, he was saying, if you want to be the best version of yourself and you want to live the best life that you could possibly live, you can't do what everybody else does. You can't go to the bars every weekend, get blackout drunk every weekend, and hook up with a random stranger every weekend. That is so unfulfilling. Charlie was literally a perfect representation, bro. He was a hard-working individual. He had a purpose that was bigger than himself. He fought for truth, and he fought evil.
Charlie Kirk's message has now been amplified tenfold, and so they thought they could silence us. That was the entire intent here, right? To shut down the movement, to instill fear in our hearts. They thought they could use violence, they could use this fear that it would intimidate conservatives. They thought that we would succumb to their either full-on threats or thinly veiled threats. And actually, speaking of thinly veiled threats, look at this from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's daughter. She says, be nice. Yeah, this wouldn't happen if you were just nice. Well, what do you think that's code for? That means engage in speech that we approve, and you won't be senselessly murdered. We get what their message is. Shut up or else. That's what they're telling us. They want to intimidate us into silence. They can't win on the ideas. They're not as effective as Charlie Kirk, and so they killed him. And they want to use that to deter people from speaking up and going on these campus tours, continuing the work that Charlie Kirk was doing, but instead the opposite is happening.
I've been in politics since the 4th grade. You showed on the screen. I've never thought about stepping away. I thought about that this week. I've thought about retreating into safety, going back to just being another college student, putting the microphone down. But I prayed about it, and that's not what Charlie would want. And so we're going to do the opposite of that. I'm going to speak on more college campuses than ever.
I saw a lot of rumors online today. I was made aware of this by my team, that I canceled some sort of college tour. That's bullshit. I saw those rumors. They are false. I will be coming to college campuses, many of them this year. So will we all, I am sure, because we're Americans, and we're not going to be deterred. Charlie's voice is not silent. We're going to pick up that bloodstained microphone where Charlie left it. And to those who would intimidate, who would seek to stop us, who would seek to end free discussion, who believe that they have ownership over public spaces and can violently threaten and kill people who speak freely, we are not going to stop. And I have 2 words. You.
That's the freaking energy. Big things are happening. And now, of course, we want people to be safe. Conservative speakers need more security than ever before. You need to be doing full-on canvasses of these areas and making sure you're not vulnerable, maybe even getting behind bulletproof glass. It's unfortunate, but it's a whole lot better than giving up. I don't think that's what Charlie Kirk would have wanted. And I think that's a sentiment that is widely being felt. They've unleashed something here that will not be contained. And I feel I'm part of it as well. Obviously I'm very passionate about my work and I've been doing it for a very long time, but sometimes you kind of get caught in a rut doing the same thing over and over again every single day. And I gotta tell you, I've been working myself like a madman for years. And this year's been a little bit tough for me. I've been feeling burnout. I've been feeling a little dreadful at certain moments. But this Charlie Kirk incident has woken up a lion in my heart. That's why I'm pumping out these videos like never before. That is why I am so animated and I'm just going so hard because that's the energy. That is the response that is required. That is what's right. That is what's righteous. We must continue the fight and we must continue to expose the evil that is festering in our culture. We got to keep putting ourselves out there, putting our ideas out there, so there's an alternative option from this path of left-wing radicalism. We got to keep fighting for the ideals that Charlie Kirk represented as the left continues to expose themselves, as we're fighting for free speech, open and peaceful dialogue. These left-wingers are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death and even going as far to now vandalize his memorial.
A man trampled the memorial for Charlie Kirk at the Turning Point headquarters in Phoenix. This happened not too long ago. Our photog on the scene says the man kicked over flowers, vases, and balloons. He was taken to the ground by an onlooker and then arrested.
Disgusting. I mean, absolutely disgusting. But you know what? Again, even though it pains me, even though it's frustrating, it's despicable, honestly, keep going. That is my view. That's what's going on in my head. Keep doing that. Keep releasing your videos, little TikTokers with your septum rings. Keep vandalizing the Charlie Kirk memorials. Keep spreading your hate and your vile vitriol, because every time you do this, every time you mock Charlie Kirk, every time you destroy and show your contempt, every time you show your black heart, the world sees more clearly. They see who you really are and who we really are. And we are not the same. Keep engaging in this evil and watch the world turn against you. And that is truly what I believe is happening. This is bigger than Charlie now. This is about a worldwide movement mobilized by his life, by what he stood for, and ultimately what he sacrificed. They thought that they could bury him. They thought that they would shut us up and intimidate us, and instead they planted a seed. Instead they mobilized us and motivated us. I am more motivated to speak in this microphone than I ever have been. And I will not stop until this evil is eradicated from our culture. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.